Francis. Mercedes, to you first.
Sure.
Do you think this is political payback for the downgrade last year?
I think undoubtedly. There were several credit agencies that were involved. In fact, there was a commission report in 2011 that said credit agencies were the enablers that led to the fiscal crisis. They didn't say S&P. Well, there's S&P, there's Moody's, there's Fitch. All of these credit agencies provided their opinions on these toxic mortgage bundles that were then obviously sent over to investors and led to the collapse that we have today.
That same question, the question you just posed, was posed to a Justice Department official today. Let's listen to what he had to say.
Why is there only a suit against S&P and not all the issuers that are mentioned in the various CDO deals outlined in your complaint?
Well, again, we do believe it was fraud, which is why we've charged S&P with that. And again, as you know, as regards any other institution or any other individual, we're just not in a position to make any comments on where we are in those regards.
All right, Mercedes, do you want to chime in on that answer?
But with a lawsuit, you put in all the parties that you suspect may be responsible. You just don't pick and choose. This is a civil lawsuit, not a criminal one. So if he's talking about fraud, he's talking about civil fraud damages, bring in the parties that could be responsible. S&P's, Moody's, Fitch, and during discovery, during the exploration, that's when you can make a decision.
Now, I want to get to the substance of the charge. Melissa, you've read the documents. Does the Justice Department have a case?
I mean, I think there's a reason they're focused on S&P, because there's a stupid email and song at the heart of this. I mean, once again, you have an analyst who was dumb enough to put it all down in an email. They made up a song to Burning Down the House, talking about the mortgage market, and sent it around, and even said, I'll go over to your cube and perform it for you. So there is the smoking gun saying that the market is overheated, that they know, that this isn't, that they suspect this isn't going to work out the way everyone thought it was going to.
So one analyst does a jokey email.
I believe it's Analyst D in the document, and he talks about what he knows, and it really foreshadows everything that's coming. So, I mean, I agree with you that I think that all the rating agencies are to blame. The model doesn't work where you're paying a rating agency to come in and make the rating. There's a huge conflict of interest here, but it may be this email that sinks S&P.
Let me read you the statement that was put out by Standard & Poor's, quoting directly. S&P reviewed the same subprime mortgage data as the rest of the market, including U.S. government officials who in 2007 publicly stated that problems in the subprime market appeared to be contained. Basically, that's a big not guilty.
Sure.
We did the same thing as everybody else did, and you're picking on us.
Exactly. So that's why everyone's saying there has to be something more to this.
Okay. Is it possible that this suit from the Justice Department tries to lay all of the blame for the crash of 2008 on Wall Street, demonizing Wall Street? It's the bankers' fault, it's the brokers, it's the insurance companies, it's the ratings companies, anything but politicians.
It's just like the tech bubble. I mean, it's so easy to point at these analysts and say it was all their fault. They probably deserve 3 or 5% of the blame. Yes, they were wrong. Yes, they should have warned people. Yes, they had a conflict of interest. All true. But there are so many characters to blame in this whole thing. I mean, there's everyone who bought a house they couldn't afford, when they were told that they didn't have to put anything down, that the house would go up in value. I mean, buyer beware. Everyone was at fault here. So to try and hang the whole thing on S&P is ludicrous.
The Justice Department wants $5 billion. Let's suppose there was some kind of settlement. Let's just suppose. If Standard & Poor's in any way admits guilt, they open the door to a ton more lawsuits, don't they?
Oh, my goodness, absolutely. Look, think about all the banks that went under, the businesses that went under. They could really, if they fall in this road, which they will not, they've already come forward and they're already being aggressive, saying, wait a minute, these are opinions. We have a First Amendment right to come forward and express these opinions. You know we have a relationship with the banks. You know that our opinions have maybe some of this.
If they expressed an external opinion that was different from their internal opinion, that's where the problem comes in. And that's exactly how they hung up all the analysts in the tech bubble bursting. And that's what it looks like they may have here. I mean, that's what they leaked earlier. Or if you, not a leak, I mean, it's in this document. If you really look through and you see some of the statements, I don't know. They may have that smoking gun.
And
may
they
or may not be
it's an errant employee, too.
Look, we can argue with the legitimacy, but it's going to have a big impact on S&P, period. It just is.
Yeah.
All right, everybody, remember to catch Money with Melissa Francis, weekdays, 5 p.m.